Good afternoon, Huskies, and welcome to our February installment of our online professional development workshop. My name is Joshua Prue, and I'm the Director of Alumni Engagement here at the UConn Office of Alumni Relations, and I'm going to be your moderator today. On behalf of the UConn Foundation, we're excited for today's discussion. Today's presentation will feature Andre Santiago, a 2007 graduate and Senior Program Director for Leadership Greater Hartford. Before we begin, a few areas of note to help manage your participation today. As always, there'll be an opportunity to ask questions by typing them into the question box on your control panel located on the right side of your screen. Feel free to type them in as you think of them. We'll address them throughout the presentation. Second, a survey will be sent to you as a follow-up. We would appreciate it if you could fill that survey out so we can continue to bring you the types of webinars that you are looking for to enhance your careers. Third, many question whether or not these are actually recorded. They will be. So please visit our YouTube page at youtube.com/UConn Alumni sometime within the next 7 business days to see if we've posted that up there for you. 4, and lastly, please be sure to check out our upcoming events calendar as well, which features our webinars over the next couple of months, as well as events that might be located in your local area. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our presenter. Andre Santiago serves as the Director of Youth Programs and Senior Program Director for Leadership Greater Hartford, which is a mission-driven nonprofit organization that supports and strengthens the local community here in Connecticut by training and connecting aspiring and established leaders. Andre has worked with Leadership Greater Hartford since 2007 and has served in various capacities throughout that time. His current role is Director of Youth Programs, where he oversees 2 initiatives for high school students: Common Ground, an inter-district leadership program for urban and suburban students, as well as Summer Nexus, an intensive leadership camp at Trinity College. In addition, he helped design and implement Leading Off-Campus, Leadership Greater Hartford's newest program. This program brings student leaders together from area colleges and universities to learn about the capital city, expand and develop their leadership skills, and build connections and networks that will also assist them in their transition after graduation. He is a certified Enneagram trainer and frequently is a facilitator in the Leadership Greater Hartford's Consulting and Training Service Program. Andre represents Leadership Greater Hartford and serves as co-chair for Hartford Decides, which is a participatory budgeting program, the first in the state of Connecticut, that gives residents of Hartford real power over real money. The program is designed in 3 phases. The first phase is brainstorming with residents the challenges and the issues they face. The second is to assist residents with turning those ideas to potential project proposals. And third is to plan and coordinate a citywide vote. Andre oversees a steering committee of volunteers as well as staff to ensure this initiative runs smoothly. Year 1 was a huge success, and Year 2 is now in the planning phase. Former roles at LGH include Program Coordinator for the Quest program, Leadership Greater Hartford's signature program, as well as Program Director for Leaders on the Board that trains individuals to serve on nonprofit boards. Andre has served on numerous boards and currently serves on the Board of Directors for St. Philip House, an organization that addresses the housing and social service needs of people whose lives have been touched by HIV and AIDS. Andre is member of the 2016 class of Hartford Business Journal's 40 Under 40, which recognizes outstanding young leaders in the region. Andre received his Bachelor of Arts from the University of Connecticut in 2007 and his Connecticut Teaching Certification from Central Connecticut State in the fall of 2014. Andre is also a graduate of the Middle Management Institute with the City of Hartford, which focuses on adolescent development, and has also taken a wide array of courses on social justice, diversity, adolescent behavior through the UConn School of Social Work Continuing Ed program. He's a resident of Hartford and can usually be found chauffeuring his 2 nieces around to their various activities. Andre, I don't know how you do all that you do, but that's amazing and a mouthful, and take it away.
Thank you very much. It is a privilege and an honor to be here today with my fellow UConn alums. Congratulations to the women's basketball team winning our 100th win in a row. What a great feat that was. It's an exciting time to be a UConn Husky. So thank you, Josh. And if I knew you were going to read the whole bio, I probably would have shortened it. But that's me in a nutshell, folks. I'm going to spend about 55 remaining minutes with you talking about the Enneagram, which is a wonderful personality profiler. And before we do that, let me just continue to say a little bit more about LGH. So we have programs for high school students all the way up to retirees, and we do consulting and training for anyone and everyone in the Hartford region and beyond. And one of the main tools that we use is the Enneagram. So we're going to share with you the types of the Enneagram and walk you through how we can all be our best. So if that's why you're here, follow along. And again, if you have any questions, please do type them. I'll provide you my email address at the end of the hour, and you can feel free to contact me anytime with any questions that you may have. So without further ado, questions to ask yourself. Does your workplace require cooperation between people? I hope the answer is yes. Do interpersonal skills affect the outcome of group decision making? Of course. And could things improve if people could hear or understand you better? I'd like to think so. So, if all of that is true, then the Enneagram may hold the key for you. So it is quite serendipitous that we are talking about the Enneagram today on Valentine's Day because this tool has helped me understand my loved ones so much better. So I do like to joke and have a good time, so please feel free to laugh along. It's quite alarming that I can't hear you react to my horrible jokes, but nonetheless we will move forward. So these are the goals that were written about the workshop for today. So you're going to learn about the Enneagram, which is an awesome system that we use here at LGH. You're going to gain insight to your own personality, and hopefully will understand the why or how you feel or act certain ways, which will help you optimize your personal and professional growth. And you're going to understand characteristics, traits, attitudes, and values of other personalities, so that way we can really use our team to the best of our abilities and highlight everyone's strengths. So that's a mouthful. I'm Puerto Rican and Italian, so I talk really fast. I have a sticky note above my computer saying go slow. But let us, before we dive too deep into the Enneagram, I know many of you have done other personality profilers. Some of them are the Enneagram, the Myers-Briggs, the DISC, the Strength Finder, and or other. I didn't get a chance to get this into Josh ahead of time to do a survey, but I'm sure many of you have taken one or multiple of these, and they're all phenomenal. So Enneagram is one. My mantra as an educator is to provide my students or my constituents with as many tools as possible, so that way when they need it they can pull out whatever tool from their tool belt or toolbox. And I like to think of Enneagram as being one of the first tools that I use, and hopefully our constituents use as well. So the Myers-Briggs, which many of you are very familiar with, is a wonderful tool that talks about preferences, introvert, extrovert, thinking, feeling. Wonderful. I am a ENFJ, intuition, feeling, extrovert, judgment. Personally, I love Myers-Briggs. I still use it all the time. Those of you who's used DISC profile, it talks a lot about the behaviors. Strength Finder talks a lot about the strengths of the individual. But the reason why I love the Enneagram is because it talks a lot about the motivation behind why we do, think, or feel the way that we do, and which in turn goes back to values. So let us begin. The Enneagram is an internationally recognized system for personal growth that helps leaders to optimize teamwork and collaboration. The diagram you see in front of you with the 9 numbers with all the arrows may look a little overwhelming, but hopefully after our 45 minutes together you'll understand what that means. The Enneagram can be seen as a set of 9 distinct personality types. Each type is assigned a number and a title or a phrase. No number or title is better than the other. We all have capacity for a lot, for all, but we'll explain a little deeper. So the purpose of the Enneagram is to see yourself objectively. Enneagram is all about you. Understand yourself and learn how to realize your true potential, and to understand others more completely, so we don't have other people go into their uglies, right? So issues or group dynamics aren't altered because we don't understand those in our team. So the concept of Enneagram goes way back to ancient times. This symbol, is can be seen in the Middle East in a lot of religious sectors, and the concept is that everyone emerges from childhood with one dominating personality, right? So we as a baby are born whole with internal stuff going on that will help nurture versus nature to help dictate how we think, feel, react. But as a young child, we are rewarded or punished for behaviors that help mold our personality. So we're born whole, we have a dominant personality type, and then that personality is edited, altered, encouraged through our reactions, relationships with others, with our environment. And so you, as an adult, will have an easier time understanding your core type. I took this at 21 years old, and it was a little difficult for me to identify my core type. One, because I was young and stubborn and said, I'm everything. You can't pigeonhole me into one type. But the more I've studied and talked to other professionals who understand and use Enneagram, we do have a core. There are ways to grow and to tap into the strengths of all 9 types, which we'll talk about. And just for transparency's sake, I will tell you which type I am when we get to it. So 9 core types, we'll talk about each. We'll give you a little taste of each type and how they interact with the world. And further questions, please feel free to contact me as we go. So before we begin, we have to understand that the Enneagram is used for development, not for judging. A lot of times employees are afraid to take these personality profilers within their organizations because they are afraid that negative repercussions will come from the results. And so when we teach our clients or constituents this tool, we definitely highlight that. No one can tell anyone else what they are. No one can judge anyone for being any specific type. We've had presidents of the United States that are all 9 types. They are all equal, just how they view the world, the lens in which they view the world is different. So it's used for development, not for judging. It'll offer insights into the lens that we look through. The numbers are universal and neutral. Again, no one type is better than the other. The purpose is to expand our full understanding of each other and where we are and the motivation behind, and increase our ability to lead and make the group the best that it can be. Words to the wise: resist the urge to stereotype and label. We as a society are constantly working on this. I know me as an individual constantly am working on this, but let's refrain from always and nevers when we talk about the Enneagram. We don't type others. It's self-identifying. Again, it took me about 2 years to fully understand what core type I sit in, and I was allowed that room because no one told me what type I was. No one forced their personal growth or experiences on me, and it is about you, the individual. You and the individual will be able to use what you've learned to better your work environment and your job as a whole, but it really starts with you. So again, another reason why we love the Enneagram, it's all about self-discovery. So again, I just want to highlight a few things that are unique to Leadership Greater Hartford and the Enneagram. We have a very unique definition of the word leadership, and I think to understand Enneagram to its full potential, it's helpful to understand this description. So leadership is giving the best that you have to the work of the group. That's the underlying universal definition of what leadership is. But we go a step farther here at Leadership Greater Hartford, and it's all about helping others to do the same. Me as an individual leader can only accomplish so much in life. My job as the leader is to help others identify their full potential. And the Enneagram is one way to do that, because if I know where people sit, where people view, how people view the world, how they feel, that's really important, and especially if I understand their motivation. So motivation is encouraging the contribution of others in their language. That's huge, their language. And if any of you have ever read the 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman, realize we all think we know how others want to give or receive love, and we don't know until we ask. And so that's really, again, the power of the Enneagram. It's about you, understand your motivation behind why you do things, share that with those you work with or those you live life with, and hopefully relationships can be improved. So this picture is how I typically like to start all of my Enneagram sessions. It's a wonderful park bench on the peak of a mountain viewing the world. And imagine, close your eyes, and imagine that at this peak of the mountain there are benches all around this peak. So there are 9 benches in total. And if I'm sitting at one bench, I see a beautiful portrait of the world. And if I move to the right or left bench, I see most of the world that I saw at my previous bench, but my lens is widened a little bit more. So I get to see a little bit more of the beautiful world. And then I move over another bench and then another bench, and all of a sudden my lens is huge. I've seen a wider view than had I just stayed at my original bench. That is the concept of the Enneagram. There are 9 types. You know your core type, but understanding the other types will allow you to tap into the strengths of each of those. So when you think of Enneagram, think of the bench at the peak of the mountain, understanding that you have a place where you're most comfortable, and that's awesome and that's wonderful. That's your seat. But also know that leadership is about helping others be their best, and to do that we have to understand how others live and how they feel and what motivates them in Enneagram language. So it's okay to leave your park bench and try out other seats, because the lens in which you view the world will be bigger, better, brighter. So let us begin with the types. An hour is a very short time to talk about the Enneagram. So we'll plow through, and then I have some other discussions if we optimize our time together. So the first type, you would think we start with type number 1, but the Enneagram tricks us. They make us start with type 2, mainly because type 1, they don't want the audience to feel that 1 is the best. So 2 is known as the helper. 2 values giving and relationships. Their contributions are empathy and doing things for others. Their goal is to be respected and admired for the goodness and self-sacrifice. And their worldview is the world needs me. And a rule to live by, I'm good or okay if I'm loved by others and close to them. So I told you, I would tell you, excuse me, what type I am. And I am a 2. So I am the first person to volunteer when others need help. I am always called upon to give assistance, and that's wonderful, and I love it. When I don't give, I feel like a piece is missing. I value the relationships. That means a lot to me. I'll give you an example of some 2s, famous people. Sally Jesse Raphael was a 2. Debbie Reynolds, Desmond Tutu, and my favorite example of a 2 is, if any of you have watched Everybody Loves Raymond, the mother who is at her best one of the kindest, most caring people. She's always cooking for others, always cleaning for others, always doing things for others. That's really what a 2 is in their prime. Although 2s, like every other type, can go into their uglies. And so days where we're not feeling appreciated, days where we're not feeling respected, days like we're not feeling that we're contributing enough, we can get possessive, manipulative, self-serving. So think of Everybody Loves Raymond's mother, and that is the 2. Motivates us is 2 is, I can't stop saying us because I'm a 2 and I'm all about relationships, as you could probably tell. What motivates a 2 is to give and get unconditional love and to be needed and to be rewarded for our good intentions. So you'll see under the title it says variable energy. A lot of types have either high energy, low energy, or middle variant energy, and so the 2 is considered a variant energy. We can be very outgoing and extrovert, and again, this really doesn't have too much to do with introvert extrovert, but for those 2s that are not high energy, I guess that's where some of that can come into play. So 2s are all about relationships, the helpers. We want to be wanted, we want to be needed. They say that 2s give birth to other 2s. My mother is also a 2, very giving, very caring, and that's the environment that I was raised in. Now as a young adult, it's probably a little too much. I just remind her of the Everybody Loves Raymond mother, and she backs off. So the two are first of the many Enneagram types. Rule to live by for a two. I'm good or okay if I'm loved by others and close to them, excuse me. Lessons for type 2. Be aware of your own mood, your own feelings, and your own needs and priorities. Oftentimes, 2s give so much to others that they forget to take care of themselves, and that can sometimes lead to the 2s getting into their uglies. And 2s also have to understand that there will be sadness and struggle as well as joy, and that's a part of life, and a 2 that can't see that has a harder time growing and tapping into the strengths of the other types. So emotions are on a spectrum, and sometimes 2s have a hard time seeing that. So the first of our Enneagram, type 2, the helper, the giver, all about the relationships, doing what's right for the team, the first to be called on. However you want to keep them happy, you want to make them feel needed and appreciated. Type 3 is called the motivator. They value recognition, achievement, and winning. Their contributions are they're self-motivated, they're resourceful, hardworking, and inspirational. Their goal is to win, to be admired for being the best, and the worldview is the world loves a winner. Rule to live by, I'm good or okay as long as I'm successful and others think well of me. We like to say that the type 3 invented the trophy. So they love competition, they love to participate in something that's challenging, that is hard, but at the end there's a result. There's a goal to be accomplished, there's a prize for winning. They like working in organizations where they can climb up the ladder, they can constantly challenge themselves and grow to new levels. That's the kind of environment that a 3 would thrive in. 3s, if they are not going to achieve their goal, oftentimes 3s like to change the goal so that way they can still win in the end. So at their best, they are genuine, authentic, high self-esteem individuals, and at their worst, they can come off calculating, opportunistic, devious. So it's really important for 3s to understand that about themselves. The desire to win isn't always the most important thing. And when 3s realize that, they have a better time of not slipping down into their uglies. Lessons for a type 3, everything is not a competition. 3s have to understand that relationships matter as well, and the path and the journey in which you got to where you are now to the end result is sometimes just as important, and that's where a lot of the teaching and learning happens. So it's not always a competition. There is value in relaxing and just being present. Oftentimes, if I'm at a meeting, I can tell who a 3 is because they're multitasking and having their phones out and doing a million things, and while I do know they're listening, they're nodding, they're agreeing with me, I have to remind them, put the phone down, take a deep breath, be present with me, and we'll move forward together. 3s also have to be aware of others' goals and how they contribute to the big picture. 3s get what we call tunnel vision, and they get so engulfed in the goal or the task, and they sometimes forget that other people have visions as well, and working with the team means you have to be open and willing to hear other people's thoughts and contributions and acknowledge them. We like to say the United States of America is a 3 country. We thrive to be the best in everything, and we're not shy at sharing that with the world. And so 3s need to realize the United States, I think, has realized that it's not a competition. We're one big planet and we all need to work together. Type number 4, I'm moving really fast, folks, and I appreciate you staying with me. I just looked at the clock and we have a half an hour left. So we'll go through this as quickly as possible. Again, my email for lots of questions afterwards. Type number 4 is seen as the individualist. Their values, they use feelings to drive decisions, their authenticity and their creativity. Their contributions are that they're creative, empathetic, respectful, and very in tune with the emotion, both with them and with others. Their goal is to be unique and express themselves in a unique way. Their worldview is that there's beauty and sadness in the universe, and I need to experience both. And rule to live by is I'm good or okay as long as I'm true to myself. 4s are very in tune with their emotions. We say they're the whale in the ocean of emotion. So they are oftentimes the artistic type, the writers, the individuals who like to look or act differently so that they can express themselves and others can see how expressive they are. Oftentimes the very bohemian, free-spirited kind of individuals, very much in tune with what they feel at all times, need time to process their feelings, like to be alone sometimes to dive through those emotions and figure out plans on how to express themselves in the best manner. Famous 4s. Oh, I didn't give you famous 3s. I'll go back to that. But famous 4s are Nicolas Cage, Kurt Cobain, Judy Garland, Michael Jackson. So think of Michael Jackson, and very artistic, very creative. But you could tell there was a lot going on when he wasn't talking. He was constantly figuring things out emotionally, figuring out passion and all of that stuff. Famous 3s, before I forget, let's see here. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Andrew Lloyd Webber, Reba McEntire, Cindy Crawford. Cindy Crawford, who realized that she wasn't going to just be a model. She wanted to be a businesswoman entrepreneur and came up with many businesses, many ventures in life. So that's the 3, the always wanting to be successful and win and make a name for themselves. And the individuals the 4s that I just mentioned, the Andrew Lloyd, the Nicolas Cage, Kurt Cobain, artistic Judy Garland, these people really take time to listen to their emotions, to dive deep into what they think and what they feel, and like to express themselves to the world as the individualist. At their best, they're imaginative, compassionate, sensitive, and at their worst, they can be withdrawn, melancholy. They can alienate themselves for others. So lessons for a type 4. They need to be aware of their moods. They need to understand that their deep emotion may overwhelm others and make others uncomfortable. And they need to be aware of the need to balance emotion and creativity with the work that can be done or has to be done. A lot of times 4s are so in tune with their emotions that it paralyzes them. And so when you're working with the 4, you need to figure out ways to draw them out and to find balance between the work and all the other stuff, and the emotion, the ocean of emotion. That is type 4. Moving on to type 5, the observer. They value mastery, ideas, independence, and understanding. Their contributions are that they are objective, very much focused on data and numbers, systems. They're very good at conceptualizing frameworks and figuring out better ways to do things. Their goal is to have expertise and contribute information. Their worldview is knowledge is power and security. And the rule to live by is I'm good or okay as long as I have mastered something. So 5s are the type of individuals who like to receive time before they answer a question. So a lot of times when we work with 5s and we're all at a staff meeting, Fives aren't going to be able to give you direct answers unless obviously they have knowledge of what's being talked about. But you better believe they're going to be the ones that go back to their desk and do all sorts of data and research and come back with you with full reports on which decision is the best decision ever. And that's okay. Not everyone needs to make quick decisions in the here and now. Fives are they like to observe everything that's going on. They like to gather as much detail and information as possible and then combine what they observed and what they learned to make the best decision possible. So fives at their best can be very perceptive, focused, innovative and inventive, and at their worst can be abrasive, antagonistic, cynical. So fives need time, and the time will be well spent. I'm the kind of person that being in a relationship with a five was difficult for a long time because I want to pick up and go, and if our snowblower dies, I need to go out and buy another snowblower, and I'll do that the same day. And fives may not be able to make a decision that quickly. They need to research and figure out which model is the best and why, and how much money can it save in warranty, and all of that stuff. So if you live with a five, have patience. You're probably going to save money in the long run. Lessons for a type 5. They need to be aware of the immediate needs as well as the full picture. So there are times where they have to suck it up and they can't master whatever concept or task, and they have to go with the best or the immediate need. They need to consider the needs of the audience when answering the question. A lot of times fives are so focused on fact and figure that they forget that the people who are receiving the information are humans, and sometimes we need a little emotion and a little connection, especially when hearing some tough news. And then they need to trust their knowledge, even if it feels incomplete. So the whole concept of there is no real perfection, right? Beauty is in the imperfection, and sometimes fives need to understand that. Fives, examples of fives. Tim Burton, Albert Einstein, Amelia Earhart, Isaac Newton. So people who really like data, research, making connections with all that stuff. All right, normally I'd say questions, comments, or concerns, but since I'm the only one talking here, let's move right on to the 6, which is known as the Loyalist in Enneagram terminology. Again, if you joined us late, these numbers and these titles are just to help us remember. The numbers do not signify one type being better than the other, and the title, the Loyalist, there are many versions and many Enneagram authors that use different words, and that's okay, but the concept is the same. So the Loyalist, they value just that, loyalty. They value tradition, commitment, and dependability. Their contributions are that they are all about the team. They anticipate danger and prepare for it. Their goal is to belong and to be prepared. And their worldview is Murphy was an optimist. I hope some of you are laughing with that. Their rule to live by is I'm good or okay as long as I do what is expected of me. So the Loyalist is the hockey goalie. So the offense or the defense are on the ice moving around all the time, but the goalie really never leaves his area. His main job is to defend the team so that the other team doesn't score against them. That is kind of what a 6 embodies. So the 6 is all about helping the team, preparing for what could happen. Oftentimes in meetings, the 6 is the one asking the questions, and the motivation behind the question is the anticipation of what can go wrong, and let's prepare for it so we're ahead of the game. 6, one of my colleagues is a 6, and a funny story is that when she would go to hotels with her young children, she would make her children do a practice run of the fire escape route. Now that is something I personally would never think about, but it makes a heck of a lot of sense, right? So that is what a 6 would think of when they go to a hotel. Not me, but We are all different for various reasons, and sometimes now as an adult, when I go to a hotel or I'm in some place where I'm not feeling fully comfortable, you better believe I have my exit plan fully mapped out thanks to what I learned from sixes. Sixes, at their best, are self-affirming, confident, courageous, able to forge permanent bonds of affection and loyalty, and at their worst can be seen as fearful, defensive, indecisive, phobic. So, lessons for type 6. They need to be aware that solutions from the past may not solve present situations. They have to be open to change and flexible. And progress requires risk-taking, and mistakes can happen, and they're important to the process. Famous sixes, let us see. Famous sixes are Phil Donahue, Jane Fonda, Chuck Norris, Julia Roberts. A great example is Ellen DeGeneres. She is all about the team and the people and the unity, and she is not afraid to be the voice and to question all that needs to be questioned. So, type 6s, we love them, just like we love all the others. Number 7 is the enthusiast. They value challenge, freedom, fun, new ideas and opportunities. Their contributions to the team are that they are fun-loving, high energy, positive. They combine a lot of previous knowledge so that learning can be fun. Their goal is to experience everything as soon as possible, and their worldview is the world is full of opportunity. A rule to live by is that they are good or okay as long as they're not trapped where they don't want to be. So 7s are the awesome brainstormers. They're the people that can help you come up with so many different ideas, and you want them at the table because they like doing it. They like the challenge. They like the fun that they can have with the people at the table while they're doing it. 7s typically don't have a fun time doing mundane, monotonous tasks. They like to brainstorm and help you come up with the ideas or the programs or the stuff, but they don't necessarily want to be the one sitting at the computer plugging in the data for hours on end. At their best, they are multi-talented, energetic, enthusiastic, cheerful, visionary conceptualizers. And at their worst, they can be erratic. They can come off infantile, impulsive. So lessons for a 7 is overlooking or avoiding the negative may result in poor outcomes. So they don't like negative situations, negative environments, but they have to understand that sometimes the learning happens when the goal isn't reached or when there is conflict. What we learn and how we grow from that conflict, 7s need to understand is very important. They need to be aware of the need to bring things to closure. Again, they like the big picture, the fun, the brainstorming, but doing the stuff that requires the closure piece to some projects may be difficult. And they need to be aware of the present and enjoy it. Sometimes they often are thinking too much of the future fun, and they need to realize that they're living it, they're in it right now. So what can they do to bring out the best of their skills and abilities for the team? And a lot of the times it is this energy, positivity, brainstorming. So famous 7s, I have a lot of actors: Tim Allen, Chevy Chase, Robert Downey Jr., Tom Hanks, Conan O'Brien, Steven Spielberg, people who are constantly working on lots of things all at once, constantly movers and shakers. They don't like to sit down on any one thing for far too long. That's 7. Number 8 is the asserter. They value strength, independence, decisive action. Their contributions are their natural leadership abilities, their confidence, their ability to confront problems. Their goal is to be self-reliant, to quickly solve problems, and to hide their own vulnerabilities. Their worldview is the best defense is a good offense. And the rule to live by is I'm good or okay as long as I am strong and in control of my situation. So 8s, a lot of times when people take the Enneagram, the 8 is seen as a negative type, and it is far from that. Some of the best leaders have been 8s. Again, all type has capacity to be outstanding, amazing, tremendous leaders. But sometimes because of the titles or the labels that Enneagram authors provide to the 8, comes off as negative. So the 8 at their best is courageous, heroic, resourceful, assertive, authoritative, very action-oriented, and at their worst can come off hard-hearted, vengeful, bully. So 8s have no problem exposing their emotions or their thoughts to the world. So a lot of times, if they're not high-functioning 8s, they can come off very blunt or brash, which is, I think, why there's that negative component to this type. Again, not at all. So 8 is a famous example of 8 is Superman. So 8s are typically defenders of the people who can't defend themselves, people who don't have a voice for themselves. So oftentimes the 8s are the leaders of movements. They're leaders of things that need action. They're the voice for the people who don't have a voice. So famous 8s, Morgan Freeman, Dr. Phil, Denzel Washington, Queen Latifah. I grew up in a very urban environment, so these are bringing back all sorts of names. I think Tupac Shakur was one of the names in the description, which brought me back to the good old days of living in East Hartford and listening to 90s rap and hip hop. But anyway, an 8 is someone who has the ability to voice their opinions and to be the voice for other people who can't. 8s need to be aware of is that their energy may intimidate others. Again, they're very confident in who they are and what they think and how they feel and have no problem sharing it, but they need to realize that other people don't all work that way. Again, different lens to see the world, different ways we all think, feel, and react. And so 8s need to realize that their way isn't always the only way. They need to step back and let others take the lead. They oftentimes feel that is a sign of weakness, but again, the high-functioning 8s understand that they need to demonstrate how to be the voice of others and how to be that strength, but also nurture those in their team to find their voice as well. And everything doesn't need to be challenging or to be challenged. Sometimes you got to learn to let things go or realize this is not the hill you want to fall on, or all of those, whatever mantras people need to tell themselves to realize that not everything has to be a challenge. Those are type 8s. Moving on, type number 9, the Peacemaker. They value harmony, cooperation, and collaboration. Their contributions are they're great listeners, mediators, they're stable, they maintain peace and harmony. Their worldview is this too shall pass. And the rule to live by for a 9 is I'm good or okay as long as those that are around me are good or okay. We often say the 9 is the duck on the water. Visually, we see this calm, cool, collected duck floating on the water, but underneath their legs are going a mile a minute. Right? That's what a 9 is. 9s are often very tranquil in appearance. They're very great listeners. They take it all in. But they take it all in because their motivation is to make sure everyone is heard and everyone has a voice and everyone's happy. And that's where the feet under the water come into play. They may seem cool, calm, and collected, but underneath their mind is going a mile a minute, with the motivation of creating the sense of harmony. Famous nines are the Dalai Lama, Placido Domingo, Matt Damon, Sandra Bullock. Our latest President Obama was a 9. A few of our presidents have been 9s. Think about the job of being president and having to hear everything and listen to all sides and find ways to keep people happy and keep nations communicating and working together in a collaborative manner. So President Barack Obama was a 9. Things that 9s can learn is to make their presence felt. They do not deprive the group of their ideas or opinions. Oftentimes 9s, like 5s like to take time and figure things out, but 5s do it with the idea that they're going to come back with all the data and information to make the best decision. 9s often aren't always so assertive with their presence because they want to hear everything first before they settle in with their thoughts and opinions, because they want what's best for the group and what's best for everyone and their feelings. So they need to understand that a path of growth might be they got to step up and jump the gun a little bit and not wait to the very end. Sometimes that's just not a possibility. And they also need to be aware that suppressing their own views for the sake of harmony may lead to resentment on them, for them, with them, etc. And our last type, again, folks, sorry, moving quickly, is type number 1, the Idealist. They value fairness, accuracy, integrity, quality. Their contributions are order, structure, high standards, responsibility. Their goal is to do things right and to be above criticism. And their worldview is there's a right way, I'll teach you. Rule to live by, I'm good or okay as long as I do what is right. A 1 is all about doing things the right way, understanding what's fair, what their values and beliefs are, and how they can incorporate that into the work that they do. At their best, they are idealistic, productive, reform-minded, detail-oriented, and at their worst, they can become dogmatic, self-righteous, judgmental, intolerant, and inflexible. So they know what the right way to do things are, and if they're at their best, they can help others understand what's right, what's just, what's fair, but at their worst, they can become critical of others. So lessons for 1s to learn. Be aware of people and their ideas and their needs. Be aware that there may be more than one right answer and one right way to do things. And that creative ideas and solutions may be overlooked because of established standards. So change is good. Sometimes 1s have a hard time understanding that concept. Some famous ones, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, Anderson Cooper, Pope John Paul II, Julie Andrews, for any music lovers out there. Very strong moral compass, and lead with that. So this is a funny little breakdown of what a meeting could look like with all 9 types. Type number 1, let's get this done right. Type number 2 says, how can I help? Our helper. Type number 3, we need to look successful, the person who loves the challenge and the trophy. Type number 4, the person who's very much in tune with their own emotions and realms of expression, says we need to be more creative. Type 5 says, let's think this out carefully, the person who likes to take time to get facts and figures correct. Type 6 says, I can see lots of problems. Type 6 is all about being prepared, preparing for what could happen, asking questions, because it's all about the good of the team. Number 7 says, let's consider all the options. 7 is the person that likes to brainstorm and throw out ideas and doesn't like to be pigeonholed into certain ideas or concepts. Number 8 says we need to get moving. They're assertive. Look at the guy in his fist. He says we need to keep moving. He knows, and he has no problem sharing that with the group. And then number 9 says let's wait until someone else gets back because we want his voice to be heard at the table as well. So a funny little comic that shares types of personalities. Again, we all have strengths and weaknesses. The goal is to tap into the strengths of others. To understand your core personality type, there is a personality profiler that the Enneagram has. It's a tool, it's an online survey that takes about 40 minutes to complete and asks you about 153 questions that you can use to help identify your core type. It'll give you numerous questions such as, I'm flipping to it now, but when I think about the future, I imagine the worst case scenarios and try to plan accordingly. That's an example of a question. You would rate that from strongly agree to strongly disagree. And again, all of these questions help to narrow your motivation behind why you answered the questions the way that you did. So insight 1 to the Enneagram, empower yourself. Understand your instinctive responses. Recognize your stressors and what triggers you, and choose your reaction. So if you think about a football stadium, and you have the field and then you have the bleachers. So when we are high functioning, when we are at our best, when we are tapping into the strengths of all the types, and we are fully in tune with our core, we're sitting at the top of those bleachers. We can see a lot of cool stuff. We can see the whole game. When stressors and other things hit us, as life happens, we move down those bleachers, and sometimes we even go below the stadium into the tunnels, and that's where I say we're at our uglies, right? And so the point is to understand the other types. That way you can slowly move out of those uglies and back into your type and reaching the strengths of all the other types. So insight 2, understand others. Be open to others. Recognize their stressors and triggers. Choose your approach that will best fit that personality, that person, right? So if you know Johnny doesn't like confrontation, it's probably not the best move to confront him in a room full of people. It's best that you give him time, give him space, and then reassess the situation. So you first have to understand who you are, your motivation, and then you have to be open to understanding, well, if I think and feel this way, it doesn't mean others do. And so learning these 9 types, understanding Enneagram even more, will allow me to work better with those around me. And insight 3, manage interactions. Again, each of us has unique strengths and liabilities. Others look at things differently, and there's more to all of us than any one of us. We each see a part of the whole, right? And that's hard for us to understand, but you know, who I am sitting here at my desk right now is one piece of me. There's a lot more to me, and teams that are high functioning are teams that look towards what we present to the world. They ask questions, they get to know us, they find out our strengths and our liabilities, they find out how we view the world, they find out what park bench we sit at, and when we're having a rough day or a good day, they know how to manage their interactions with us. So, to summarize, because we're wrapping up on time, we each have a core personality type. You are more than your personality, and so is everybody else. This is another tool to allow you to understand your values and your motivations, but to also understand that others sit on a different park bench sometimes. Leaders are successful to the extent that they can influence all of the types. Again, I'm sure when you heard my very, very brief description of each of the 9 types, you heard things that are very, very positive in each of them. And I'm sure many of you are sitting there saying, oh, I'm that type, and I'm part that type, and I see a lot of myself in all of the types. If you see a lot of yourself in all the types, then that means you have been around. You've done some work on your personal and professional self. You've done some development, and that's awesome. Again, we have a core type, but the purpose is to understand all of the types. To be self-aware is the foundation of successful leadership and self-development. And to be effective, you need to expand the lens in which you view the world. So, next steps, we here at Leadership Greater Hartford teach Enneagram from college students all the way up to individuals in their third age, realizing that anyone younger than high school is probably too hasn't quite developed enough to fully understand what their core personality is. Depends on which researcher you ask. Some say mid to late 20s is usually when we round off and get settled into a core type. But we can provide customized trainings for anyone, all sessions, all sizes, college students to octogenarians. You want it, we got it. There's our website right there, leadershipgh.org. There are many, many wonderful Enneagram books out there, resources out there. Please do your homework, find them out. We are local and provide lots of leadership training. We have many certified trainers, but they're wonderful books. Rizzo and Hudson does a wonderful Enneagram Institute. Many great reads out there. So please feel free to connect with us. And there is my email. Briefly, I just want to go before Josh has his final announcements. I just want to highlight one thing for you. I want to get back to the diagram. Where is it? Find me in the diagram. All right, so this wonderful diagram you see with the 9 types, we didn't get to the passive growths and passive declines or wings, but look at number 2, and you'll see on either side of it, 2, there's a number, a 1 and a number 3. So Enneagram researchers say, me as a 2, I can tap into my wings. So I naturally tap into my 1 wing or my 3 wing. And for me, I am very much a 2 with a 3 wing, meaning I'm all about relationships and helping others, but I sure as heck like a competition. I like a challenge. I like goals, reaching goals and climbing and being champion, and I definitely have that in my personality. Whereas a 2 with a 1 cares all about relationships and helping the team, but has a strong sense of doing what's right. They're your good proofreaders and people who follow the rules and stick to the guides and have a strong moral compass. So not saying that all 9 types don't have strong moral compasses, but that's where number 1 lies in their core. So those are your wings. Any core type, you can access the numbers directly next to you. And then the arrows, you see an arrow leaving one number going to the other, those are passive growth and then reverse paths of decline. So as a 2, I grow to a 4. So my strength when I grow, I still am concerned about others and relationships with others, but in growing to a 4, I learned how to assess my own individual needs and feelings and thoughts and emotions, and realizing that a healthy 2 can tap into that of a 4, so that way I can remain a healthy 2 and care about those that are around me. So there are passive growth and passive decline. Wonderful books out there for you, and feel free to email me or call me anytime to talk about wings or passive growth or decline or anything else that we talked about here today. Again, I apologize for the brevity of what we endured, but I hope you laughed a little, and I hope that you found this at least intriguing and hopefully another tool that you can add to your tool belt. Josh?
Thank you very much,
1 minute
Andre.
to go.
Greatly appreciate it. We did get one quick question here, if we can.
Yes.
The question is there an online Enneagram test, and is there a fee to take it? And if so, are there, similar to Myers-Briggs, there are a number of abbreviated exams that are out there that you can take, one that would give you kind of a general ballpark that you could recommend?
Yes, so if you Google Enneagram, you will find a few brief ones that'll give you a ballpark. So they are out there and they are free. However, I do recommend taking the full personality profiler. It'll give you the best sense of the whole you, because in order to understand the whole you, there's a whole bunch of questions that go into it, and so I do encourage taking the formal assessment. We offer it. It's $15, and with that $15 you will get a key, a user ID and a key, and that will give you access to the profiler, and once you've completed the profiler, it'll help you, the online version will help you assess which type you think you are. So there are free ones out there. definitely use that as a starter. I know I did, but if you are interested in Enneagram, take our profiler or any others out there. I know there are a few other institutes out there that sell them as well, but $15 through us, and we're happy to help you out with that.
All right, perfect. That's everything in terms of questions at the moment. Andre, if you wouldn't mind jumping to that last slide real quick. Oh, you're already on it. My apologies, you're already there. So just to let folks be aware of the next webinar in our online professional development workshop that we have. It will be March 7th, 2017 at noon. It will be personal branding in the job search using LinkedIn. That will be featuring Heather Salvatore Jackson. She will be talking about utilizing LinkedIn in your job search and helping you to brand yourself on the social media channels. So we hope to see you all there. For those of you that are still with us, we will be sending that survey. And as soon as this closes, within 24 hours, you will receive that survey basically indicating for your feedback if you enjoyed today's presentation. And if you'd like to get in touch with Andre, he obviously will have that information. He had that information listed for you there. We will be posting this to our YouTube channel, and we will be providing a PDF document of these slides at some point in the near future to all of you via email, so look out for those. And that's everything. So thank you very much, Andre. We greatly appreciate your insight and taking the time to run through this all with us. And thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next month.
Go Huskies.
Thanks, Andre. Take care, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.